Continuing our special show on the future of the movies, what will the movie-going experience be like in the theaters of the future? It will be a whole lot better than it is today, our directors hope, if audiences can become more active in demanding better treatment in movie theaters.
Going to the movies, it's an experience everyone has shared, but it's not always as much fun these days as it used to be. It has its problems, which our directors believe could be solved in the 90s.
They wish people would take more interest in how movie pictures and sound are delivered and can be improved.
I would certainly hope the theater owners take as much pride in exhibiting our films as we do in having made them.
You know they don't.
But if they did, then there would be average of 15 to 17-foot lamberts, which means the amount of light, a good, healthy amount of projection light onto the screen.
And what is there in an average theater instead of 15 to 17?
6 or 7 sometimes. I mean, sometimes we actually have to anticipate where our films are being exhibited so we can put more light in the lab into our films. So when they show in theaters that customarily run films with very weak projector bulbs, you get to see the image on the screen.
George Lucas, whose company developed the THX sound system, thinks people ought to check the equipment at their local theaters.
We've discovered that twice as many people will go to a THX theater showing the same movie in the same city in the same quality theater. And it's just because they want it, they want the best possible presentation.
People notice that. In other words, they actually...
People do notice it, and they will pay for it. They will go to, they will drive further, they will drive out of one area into another area to get a higher quality presentation.
We also wondered if any new equipment in the 90s might make their work easier or more innovative.
Yeah, just a camera that moves and glances the way I do, the way I move my head. I think it'd be very nauseating for the audience because, you know, I want to move as fast as possible sometimes, or walking through the streets here in New York, or the clarity with which you just move and see another image, or another, where you direct your glance. It's almost like, it's never quite, with the 2 gears on the camera, it's never quite accurate enough for me. It's never, that's one of the reasons I have with one of the problems with the Steadicam image, although I love, and I've used it a number of times, but to use it all the time, it gives, to me, the edges of the frame are always jiggling a little bit. It's kind of unsettling. It's insecure, and it's uncertain.
But your camera is almost always moving anyway. Even in shots that appear to be even in shots where the camera seems to be nailed down, if you look very carefully,
there's always creeping or something.
There's always some creeping going on in practically every single shot in all of your movies, which I think adds to the voyeuristic involvement of the audience, because a moving camera, it seems to me, is always more involving than a stationary camera.
Yeah, I can never really get as precise as the way I want it, the way I see certain things occur.
Is there an invention that you would like to see happen in the 90s that would help you make films better?
No. I think motion pictures is a very unique medium. Film and cameras and everything we have right now is all we need. I really believe that. It's all we need. You know, I mean, can you invent a new kind of bat to hit a baseball further without cheating? You know, there are certain forms in our culture and sports, certainly, where the sport has been there for a long time. It does need improvement. I mean, football doesn't need, you know, a replay judge. I think that's a real burden of technology on human errors and judgment calls, whether right or wrong. But films have a camera. We've got the lab, the process of film. We've got the lights. We've got the sound. No, I think we've got all we need.
George Lucas thinks differently.
We're just on the very leading edge of a whole technology. Whereas with, you know, running celluloid through gears, which is really, in the end, a 19th century idea. And that's 19th century technology. I think that they've pretty much pushed that to the limit. I don't see that going much further.
In the last analysis, none of these directors think that anything will ever replace going to see the movies in a real movie theater.
I think because of the way we are, I mean, human beings, there still has to be, and there still will be room for pictures that will be a communal experience. And maybe these will be the ones that make, 8 or 9 years from now, $300 million or something, and maybe it'd be more like Steve and George's films. I don't know. And yet, I really think that's part of why do people still go to plays? Why do they go see Les Miserables or you know, Phantom of the Opera?
They like to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Kids want to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Spielberg provides a case in point by describing the first time he showed E.T. to his son. how did you show him the film? This might be interesting for people at home. They would think normally you'd just slip in a cassette. I have a feeling you showed it to him in a screening room.
In perfect projection with perfect sound, 1:6:6 aspect ratio, of course, yeah. I wouldn't let him see it on video.
Because?
Well, because there's an experience about sitting in a room, albeit maybe alone, years after the film had its theatrical, run, but seeing a large image, direct, light through the celluloid, projecting like a slideshow in movement against a screen with good sound and the smell of popcorn. It's exciting. It's theatrical. It's showmanship. I mean, movies are showmanship. When movies go on to videotape, and I love the idea that people still see our films in all different forms, but the showmanship is missing once you look at a movie at home.
It's not the same.
It's not the same.
Even in an intimate film, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's not the same. It'll never be the same.
There is one issue that is going to link all three of these directors in the 1990s. They have announced the formation of an organization called the Film Foundation for Film Preservation. And all three have banded together. They have roped in some other directors. They're going to be going out and hitting up the studios for millions of dollars of money to make sure that the past is preserved in the future. And that's a great development.
And it's funny that it would take somebody like that to tell the studios, look, this is your wealth. This is what makes this studio more than just real estate or all these cans of film down in the basement that have been neglected for so long. But that, to me, is the theme of this whole show, which is that in the old days, the golden age of Hollywood, the studio was the repository of research and development and technique. And a director would go in, and there was the special effects team, and there was the optical printer team, and there were the people who would do the matte shots and so forth.
Right.
Today, a director, and it's particularly true of these three directors, has to be an expert on all of those areas. And these guys, particularly Lucas up in his Skywalker Ranch, are financing their own research and development. They're inventing new tools in order to help them make the movies they want to make.
Well, they've also made movies that we all want to see. Now, all these pictures are available on home video that they've made. I'm going to ask you a question. Go director by director and say, what would you recommend to people that they rent for each of the three guys?
If they only had to rent one film, well, with Lucas, I would just go right ahead and I would rent Star Wars, because that is the central film, I think, of his saga. With Scorsese, it'd be Raging Bull. And with Spielberg, it'd be E.T.
Well, I'm going to pick some odd choices that people might not think about. For Lucas, I think that his best film remains American Graffiti. And it's a picture that's more than just a joyride. It's a great celebration, one long night. It changed the way movie music was used, and I think it's a fabulous film. My favorite Spielberg picture is Close Encounters of the Third Kind. He told me that he doesn't like the version where he went back into the ship, but that was the only way he could do some earlier editing.
He doesn't like the expanded version.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He thinks that it should end going to the ship. So maybe the original version, or stop your projector, your video VCR, when it gets to the inside of the ship in the expanded version. And for Spielberg, for Martin Scorsese, I think that Mean Streets is a remarkable effort made in 1973. You'll see the guts of the guy there.
Do you think that those three films are the best three films by those directors?
I did say that it is for Spielberg. I believe Close Encounters is his best. And I believe, yes, it is Lucas's best, American Graffiti. And Mean Streets is certainly as good as anything that
one thing
Scorsese
I think we would both agree on is that you can hardly find a bad film from any of these guys to rent. I mean, they're really pretty good directors. And I'm Roger Ebert.
I'm Gene Siskel. Thanks for watching.
Who is Darkman? Find out this summer. Inverness One-Touch Roll-On Waxer removes hair for weeks at a time and leaves skin smooth and silky. From the hair removal specialists, Inverness. Safer, effective pesticides for use in the garden, the home, and on pets. Designed with the environment in mind. Murder on bugs, but not on us. We're safer. Your Life Daily Vitamin Packs. Each one a total daily vitamin system, specially formulated for a variety of lifestyles.